Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, we're going to start on a theme that we're going to keep up for at least a month, cataracts. The issue of cataracts is really coming to the forefront here. We're devoting a lot of time on the show, a lot of time and energy in the office to, I believe, move to what we refer to now as the cataract cure. Now, there's an article coming out, just released yesterday by me. They're putting it together. You want to get a copy of this, I call it spring version of the Lifestyle Medical Journal. Sven Hosford puts that out. I've been writing articles there each and every issue for quite a while. This last one on cataracts and entitled The Cataract Cure. There actually is a way that you can avoid that surgery. You didn't know. But if you're afflicted with cataracts, you're going to want to pay attention to a series of shows that are coming up, starting with the one today, and moving into the month of May, focusing on our first cataract clinic that's going to be held here in this office on the, get this thing straight for sure, yes, the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, a 4-day cataract clinic to answer the question, can you avoid that cataract surgery? We believe you can, and certainly do so in high numbers, enough at least to give this a try before you ever step up to allow them to remove that cataract, which, by the way, is a play on words anyway. You don't remove a cataract, you remove the lens that the cataract is a part of. And so I don't like the way that it's put out there and not really addressing what actually happens. Anyway, more on this subject with multiple shows up and coming. The first one begins today with a good friend of ours. You know him well. He's literally in the KHB family, always on the radio, always bringing information about supplementation as well as various procedures and testing available. He first brought us this discussion at least 2 years ago. We were the first to bring it to your attention. It has now grown, and it's really going to be playing a prominent role in the cataract cure. I'm talking about oligo scanning. Oligo scanning, an immediate real-time way of assessing your mineral status as well as heavy metals. We're going to be having a discussion about oligo scanning today with Joe Messino, so you want to pay close attention. For the course of our discussion with Joe, you want to call in to ask a question or to make a comment. The number, of course, as you should know by now, is to dial us up at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. We kick off the Cataract Cure series today with oligo scanning. It will be a prominent player in our quest to get those cataracts reversed. Now, up and coming, let me fill you in on, it's a hot month of May. We're turning the page, by the way, today. Tomorrow's the last day in April. By the time we see you on Friday, we'll be into May 1st. And look at this lineup for May. Now, a real important show is going to be on Monday, May 4th. It's going to be with Dr. Todd Wiley. Dr. Wiley is an optometrist from the state of Washington, and he's going to be talking about an interesting device that you will see here in my office called the Beamer. Anyway, we're going to be driving the Beamer around here for you to all explore on Monday morning of the 4th because this is a key component of the cataract cure. And we'll let Todd Wiley talk to you about his experience. He's the one that introduced it to me, and his statistics have been working very well. We expect to at least approach, if not surpass, the numbers that Todd Wiley's been able to generate through the use of the Beamer. More about that on Monday morning. You don't want to miss that show. Now, if you're thinking about the Cataract Clinic, which I already told you is going to be held on the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st, but you'd like to get some questions answered and like to have a full explanation of what that clinic is going to be offering, how it's going to be approaching the quotation marks, the cataract cure, you want to be a part of a free seminar we're holding here in the office, 7 o'clock on the 4th of May in the evening. So in the morning, Todd Wiley will be with us. But in the evening, here in my office, if you want to be able to have a full explanation of the cataract clinic, what's going to consist of those 4 days, how you should be looking at it, truly as a way to avoid the possibility of a cataract surgery, free invite, no charge. Just give us a call to let us know you're coming. The number you want to call up is 724 942-3002. That's 724-942-3002. Just mention to either Kim, if she answered, or Sister Sarah that you want to be have a seat reserved for you, I guess the best way to put it, for the cataract clinic seminar. About an hour to an hour and a half. We're going to have Dr. Lisa Bowen here. It's about time every one of you met her. She's a part of every program that we do. She is our go-to eye professional, and she's really gotten on board. The early days may have been skeptical from her viewpoint, but she's just as greedy as we are, trying to get the results. I'd love for her to describe the cataract situation and how she'll be assessing those of you who are participating on day 1 and then again on day 4. So that's the cataract clinic seminar on Monday the 7th. Of course, talking about Dr. Vava Vavoom herself, Dr. Susan Smith-Jones, will be our guest on the 6th of May. She comes to us every first Wednesday. This is no exception. And she just sent me some talking points the other day. I'll talk to you more about it on our Friday show. Now, the following week, on the 11th of May, Tom Lowe is going to be our guest. He was with us once before. That was back in, I'm going to say, April of 2014. And the reason why is that we just came back from a conference on ozone therapy. He was there. We actually purchased his unit referred to as ultraviolet blood irradiation, and it really is a modality that we use almost always as a piggyback onto ozone. We're talking about ozone once again because he now actually has these home units for rectal insufflation. They're very reasonably priced. I want you to all know about them. It's going to require a doctor's prescription to get them, but we'll be able to help facilitate so you can do ozone at home. Once you start your ozone program here, you'll be able to keep it up through rectal insufflation. We'll let Tom discuss that along with ultraviolet blood irradiation when he is our guest on Monday the 11th. Then on the 13th, an absolutely big player with this cataract cure theme is Ed Kane's approach to treating heavy metal toxicity. In fact, I've renamed it a procedure that I'll now refer to as natural chelation. So many of you out there have apprehension about chelating, especially if it's done intravenously, and we have used and still do use a lot of the IV approaches to detoxification of heavy metals, but there's actually a way to do it au naturel through a procedure which is mineral testing, where you can replace the minerals that you need and get rid of the heavy metals that you don't. We'll let Ed Kane talk to you about that on the 13th. You don't want to miss it. It is going to be a big player here in the office. Then, on the 18th, actually the first morning of the Cataract Clinic, John Tobridge is going to be one of our guests, and he's going to be talking about chelation therapy from the more conventional set. He was at the Top Doc Conference held in St. Petersburg, Florida, 2 weekends ago, and John has the presentation he gave on chelation was so good. I said, you got to come on my show. You got to talk about chelation therapy and heavy metal toxicology and detoxification. The same way you presented it, that's how I'd like you to present it to my listeners. He'll be our guest on the 18th. On the 20th, another famous guest of ours, he was with us many times, one of the original top docs that we first met out in Phoenix, Arizona. That would have been last summer for the launching of the top 20 docs in the country who are alternatively persuaded. And he contributed one of the chapters in the book. The unique thing about Lee, of course, as a board-certified cardiologist, he gave it up. I guess he swore off of the stuff, and he's moved into treating everything, just about everything else, other than, although I'm sure if called upon, he can work with the heart as well as anybody. But for a cardiologist to leave it in the dust, and an interesting story about asking to tell you and share with the consultation that they shared with Sinatra, right? Stephen Sinatra, the famous cardiologist that we've had on the show. And Dr. Cowden had sent him a cancer patient who was from Texas and was going to be up in the New York area. And the conversation was something like this. Dr. Sinatra said, well, what the heck is a cardiologist doing treating people with cancer? And the take-home answer, which brought a smile to my face, is that Dr. Cowden, it is rumored, replied, well, that's what the patient had. I think that's the best answer going. Lee Cowden's going to be here. By the way, talking about energy therapies, very popular therapies, but you want to be able to get the essence of each therapy and how it could benefit you. He's written a book on energy therapies. He'll release quite a bit of information about that book that you'll be able to get on his visit with us on the 20th. Hope you enjoy allowing us to bring Lee Cowden to you. He's our guest on the 20th. Now, I do have 2 additional dates in May. I haven't filled yet. I promise I will fill them. But I'm looking out into the month of June already, and I just got to mention this one fella because I refer to him as the gunslinger. His name is Dr. David Minkoff. He's a medical doctor from the Clearwater, Florida area, and he treats Lyme's disease. And he takes it, I believe, very personal. And I've asked him to come on the show to talk about his Lyme's disease opinions and his treatment protocols, so you get a flavor for how the gunslinger works down there trying to attack and reverse Lyme's disease. And coming from the gunslinger, I think that'll be a wonderful show for you to be able to be a part of. Now, other eye programs, as you well know, we're just finishing a program today, as a matter of fact, for the 3-day Condrot program. And the next one that's going to be held, now this is for the retinal diseases, so it looks as though we're going to be alternating 1 month working with cataracts, and the next month, with the retinal diseases, in particular things like macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy, and the list goes on, of course, but those are the 3 with the highest incidence. And our next eye protocol for the retinal diseases will be 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. If you have one of these diseases, we already have a fantastic program, tried and true, that was put together by Dr. Ed Condrot 15 years ago. I believe I got to quit using the number 14. It's been 15 years now, and 85 to 90% of those involved reverse their eye diseases, supposedly ones that you can't reverse, reverse them in 3 days. Now, that's just a wonderful track record. I will send you to our website at PittsburghEyeProtocol.com if you want to read more about the particular program. We actually link onto Dr. Ed Condrot's website, which is Healing the Eye and Wellness Center, now located in Fort Myers, Florida. Just recently changed venues from Dade City to Fort Myers. And it's a very busy website, a lot of information on it. We linked to the places that you'll want to check out most specifically, and I think it's a very fair question. How well does that Ed Condrot program work for my particular eye disease? Well, folks, he's got his experience over a 2-year period published. It's on the website. If you have any question about what you have and how the Condrot program works for that particular issue, it's published. It's on the site. Go to Pittsburgh Eye Protocol. On the page, Mark Services. About halfway down, you'll see click here for statistics on the Dr. Condrot program. Once you do, it takes you right to the site you can be able to learn quite easily how effective, and it's still 85 to 90% of those who participate end up getting their eye disorder, retinal disorder, unbelievable, turned around in as little as 3 days. Well, that's the way it goes. Okay, let's do this. We're going to take a short break. In the interim, our good friend Joe will be checking in with us. You've known him so well. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and he was the guy, and still is, the go-to man when talking about oligo scanning. We're going to find out how Oligoscan has held up over these years and learn what he's learned additional to what he taught you before. Anyway, you'll enjoy spending the time with Joe. Be right back in a moment with Mr. Joe Messino. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today in a Wednesday morning version of the show, and probably the kickoff of a series focusing on the dastardly cataract and how it is that we're going to eradicate that thing. Anyway, a very appropriate discussion is the role that toxicity plays in cataract formation, and there's no finer starting place than talking about the metals that may be at the very root cause of that toxic buildup. Anyway, shrouded in all that is a unique device first brought to you at least 2 years ago. I'm going to get a check with Joe on that. I think it's at least 2. A unique device called Oligo scanning. This is a real-time way of learning some pretty fantastic things, and we're going to find out from Joe what they are and how they've held up over these years, and how we'll be holding up with it as the future, in the very near future, will reveal. You know him very well. He's in the KHB family, folks. He's always on the radio. Just happens to be on our show right now. We're glad to have him. His name is Mr. Joe Messino. Welcome aboard, Joe. Thanks for coming aboard today.
Hey, Doc. It's great to be back on the air with you. I know we've done a few shows in the past, and it's been a while, but you're plugging along, and I want to publicly thank you for all the help you've given to me and my family and many of the people I've referred to you over the years, but especially to the friends and family that I have entrusted to you with their help and it's been always great, and I wanted to thank you, and I appreciate that. I want to say
thank you so much, Joe. I've always really appreciated your contribution. You know, when I first came along this scene, you had already been involved and up to your neck in alternative medicines. I've learned so much from you as the neophyte that I was. I don't know how far along I've come, but it's been a long way, and with your help, a long way. I'm going to thank you, too, for all that you've been able to contribute in my enrichment. It continues to grow, and you keep providing me with, and today's just one more example of how it is that you bring me along. You know, Joe, I'm asking, how long has it been since you first, and I think we were the first here on this show, to launch a discussion of oligo scanning? How long ago was it, Joe?
Well, Doc, I think it was almost 2 years ago. It's been at least a year and a half, and I know that we actually probably went on the air with the discussion of it before it was ever even available in the U.S.
Yeah, I know.
We knew it was coming.
And so, sure.
First guy to get it on the air, absolutely.
Well, I know that it was the first discussion anybody ever had on the subject. It was such a unique device. It was intriguing for me to see it and watch it literally perform in my office. You brought your demo model with you. And great aspirations I could see were in the store for this device. A real-time way of assessing mineral content in the body as well as heavy metals. Do you want to try your best, because I'm pretty sure you can do it well, to bring our listeners up to speed on what oligo scanning is?
Sure. The device is called the Oligoscan, and it basically uses a technology called spectrophotometry. Spectrophotometry, as you know, is the measurement of light. All chemicals, all compounds, regardless of whether it's a mineral or a chemical, whether it's artificial or natural, will absorb, emit, or reflect light over a certain specific range of wavelength. So once you can categorize those wavelengths for these particular chemicals, and we'll just say chemicals to be a generic term because even natural minerals, we'll call them chemicals at this point, just for the sake of discussion. Once you can categorize the wavelength with which they absorb or emit light or reflect light, then you can take those and put them into an algorithm, and using something as simple as infrared light, safe infrared light, you can then measure against that with the way you using infrared light, measuring the tissue absorbency of those chemicals in the body. It's giving you a live reading of tissue density of these chemicals and minerals in your body. And the reason I think it has so much potential over and above standard methods of heavy metal toxicity testing is that it's testing what's still in the tissue, the live tissue. Because other methods, whether it be urine, whether it be hair, or even serum, it's testing what the body has expelled or is not living in the tissue at that moment. Even when you do a urine challenge test, you're still drawing out those metals. Now, the problem is, Doc, what causes the damage in our bodies is the tissue that are still saturated with these heavy metals. And in order, you are well versed and experienced on doing detoxification for your patients, and we know that it's something as simple, let's just say something as simple as weight loss, is going to be hampered by heavy metal toxicity because these heavy metals reside in fat tissues. And those fat tissues cannot be burned as energy when they house these toxins. So if you are burning energy on a weight loss protocol and you are loaded with toxins, more than likely it's coming from lean muscle healthy tissue, which is not going to give you your maximum benefit when it comes to weight loss. We know that because that will be a detriment to increasing your metabolic rate. So something that simple is going to show up here, but it also takes it so much further than that. Doc, you've seen the test, and you see that every known heavy metal is on there. All of the minerals, trace and otherwise, are on there. And I think because it shows you more than just heavy metal toxicity, it shows the counterpart to that mineral density, which can tell you a host of things about what's going on in your body. And one of the things I'd like to bring to the table today is that, we've seen, this is something new that we're finding with the Oligoscan, that even though it doesn't test vitamins yet, some of the mineral deficiencies can show you where you have a vitamin deficiency. And the most common one, and the one that we're seeing a lot these days, is vitamin K2 deficiency. And we're seeing that by reading the mineral readings from the Oligoscan. So, that's one of the new and exciting things. There's lots of other things that are coming in here. You've talked a lot, I know, about fluoride and fluoride toxicity. We're seeing, Doc, that in the heavy metals, second only to mercury, the most abundant toxic metal is aluminum.
Yeah.
And across the board. And everybody thinks, oh, well, I quit using my aluminum pots and pans and I don't use cans anymore, and on and on. But one of the things that your listeners need to understand about the Oligoscan, Doc, is that it's not testing what you did last week. It's showing you concentrations over your lifetime. This is once these toxins get into the tissues, until you chelate them, until you pull them out, draw them out somehow with some sort of detoxification protocol, they're staying there forever. And so you're not just seeing what you did last week, you're seeing the result of your lifetime, your lifestyle over a lifetime. And many times when you look at some of these readings, you're looking, and the patient interaction is important, because you have to talk to the patient to find out their history, how they worked, the environments they were in. Maybe I had a guy once that tested so high in cadmium and beryllium and certain metals that normally you don't test real high in. And I went to find out that he worked in a factory that made tires, and the fumes from that were saturated in his body. So, by doing lifestyle examinations with patients, as you do in natural health, you're not in there with a patient for 5 minutes. I know. I've sent patients in there, and it's an hour, and they're not out yet. And that's the whole time they spend with you. But that's where these lifestyle examinations bring up what's causing the toxicity. And that's just the beginning, because you've got heavy metals, you've got mineral density, and then you've got oxidative damage and oxidative stress on top of that.
Wow. Now, of course, every good alternative doctor knows that there's a deficiency issue that you must correct and a toxicity issue that you must unburden someone with. But and I guess the one way for sure that you never want to go and explore what those toxicity issues are is a blood test. I think this is probably the first thing I want to get across to my listener. If you've been badgering your family doctor because you think you've got a heavy metal problem, quit badgering him, because even though he may relent, it's going to take a while. Even though he may relent, he'll say, you know what? Okay, enough already. Let me go order the blood test. There's the bad word, the blood test, to prove that either you're right or I'm right. And so they order the blood test, and nothing's in the blood. Joe, why is there nothing in the blood?
Because it hasn't been pulled out of the tissues. It's residing in the tissues. One of the biggest areas that this is uncovered in is mercury. Mercury toxicity is in the tissues. It's not going to show up necessarily in the blood. If it does show up in the blood, that's because it's been pulled out, and it's causing the problem in the tissue. And that's where the issue arises with doing the blood test. I agree 100% with you. Even worse than that is a urinalysis. A urinalysis is especially showing you what you've expelled. This is your body working to get. Doc, most people know that there are 1 or 2 phases of detoxification. You got to draw the tissues out of the metals out of the tissue. You got to run them through the liver again, and then you've got to expel them either through the bladder or the colon. And that last phase is getting some of them out, but that's not getting out what's in there, and it's not showing you what's still in the tissue, and that's where the damage is.
That's where the damage is located. So, there are, as a medical doctor, routinely for a lot of years now, if I wanted to find out what metals existed, I had to use a key leading agent first. And things like EDTA, DMPS, DMSA, these are, by the way, these are harsh chemicals on their own right, but nonetheless, under the guise of trying to find out what metals I'm up against, I've done a provocative test where I've given the chelator, then upon completing the administration, had the patient collect their urine for the next 24 hours, because now pulling the metal from the tissue, the kidney will, one, pass that stuff out there, and I will be able to find it in the urine. Let's just say this, Joe, as accurate or as helpful as that is, it always took, there's a 2 or 3 week swing between when I see a patient and when we can have a discussion about the results. That always has been a stickler with me. And now with Oligo scanning, it's real time. Describe for my listeners what we mean by real time. It is immediate. It's in seconds. How's that work, Joe?
Yes, it is, Doc. And it's technology that has enabled us to do this. The Oligoscan is connected to a program in your computer. The Oligoscan is a handheld device. It's no bigger than it's smaller than most remotes you use for your televisions, but it's a handheld device. It's connected to your computer. Your computer has a program that has been downloaded into it, and it's connected to a server. Once you take the readings through the palm of the hand with the actual Oligoscan, so you're photographing. You're taking photograph of light absorbency using infrared light, and you're photographing it, and you're sending it into the program over the server to the main server that's actually in Europe and over the internet. So we need the internet to do this. And the results then are calculated and immediately sent back because of the speed of the internet, so that you're getting the actual reading and results in less than 30 seconds.
I know. You did that experiment in my office, and it works so flawlessly. And in 30 seconds, there it was, a printout, a gorgeous printout of what my metal and mineral status was, with no fuss, no muss. It was just real time, immediate, and as you've mentioned, and the words resonate with me. This is intracellular. This is stuff in the tissue. There's no test that can do that. Because even if we do a provocation test, I'm pulling things out of tissue and really never uncovering the level in the tissue itself. So,
as you said, Doc, you can then start treatment at the same visit.
Same day. Exactly right. I think that's just a wonderful benefit of this. And then you can check it on a real-time basis in the future, maybe monthly, maybe whatever you decide you're going to do in terms of a schedule of retesting. But you should be able to follow this immediately. The ability to have a discussion with the patient and then come in within moments with answers and a plan to resolve a problem is a premise that all doctors wish they could enjoy. But when the lab gets involved, we're hamstrung. We can't react in the immediate way we like to. This oligo scanning device takes us and puts us right in the driver's seat. The patient likes it. I certainly like it. And it looks as though, to me, over these 2 years now, how well has oligo scanning, you launched it here, Joe. How well has oligo scanning been accepted by the medical community?
That's a great question. And it has been accepted, I would say, moderately well by the medical community, but I'd say it's been accepted extremely well by the natural health industry. In physicians' offices that are, especially ones that are integrative minded, where they are taking the best of both worlds like you do. And, it's those guys, there's also, practitioners across the country that are 100% into natural health. They're not taking any insurances. They're just doing this, and this is a big part of their protocol. I have doctors that have said to me, Doc, this saved my practice. This device saved my practice, and it enabled them to just, in many ways, to keep them afoot and also to help their patients in ways they could never help them before. And, one of the things I wanted to bring up is because, you've always been one of the guys up front treating thyroid, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, forefront of that for many, many years. You were the first doctor I ever knew that had iodoral in his office to help with iodine deficiencies, which we know is a major cause of thyroid issues. So this test, for that alone, Doc, this is the only test that will actually give you accurate iodine readings in the tissues of the body. And I remember years ago when I sent a family member to you, and you said, we got to test her iodine. And I said, but why? She's young. And you said to me, well, she's a female, and she has breasts. And I said, yeah. He said, well, the second place, the most abundant place where you store iodine is in breast tissue or fat tissue, and there's a majority of it in the breast. And many women with healthy, let's just say healthy breasts, may be robbing that iodine from their thyroid gland. And I have never forgotten that, Doc. And I have to admit to you, I've stolen that quote from you for many, many occasions.
I'm sure you gave me credit every time you use it, Joe.
Many people get their iodine levels, but the Oligoscan is how else would you test for iodine without the Oligoscan?
Oh, it's a pain because you got to do a provocative test with that too. So I mean, that's once again with a lab. And by the way, Joe, just a little added. For about 2 years, I tested everything that moved in my office for iodine level, and after 2 years, never having found one single, well, particularly women, not one woman who ever had anywhere near a normal iodine level, I finally said, give it up. Why are you worried about testing for this? Obviously, there's nobody around these parts, and that's geographically true because of we're located and we live in the goiter belt. And we do so by the virtue of the fact that we have the iodine in the soils. But it's just, I don't have to do it anymore, Joe. I just automatically consider that it's replete. Everybody suffers from it. But I would love to have a number. And I think this Oligoscan with iodine's one of the tests. It's one of the metals.
Yes, and I've been working quite a bit recently with a lot of bioidentical hormone replacement clinics across the country. And one of their big thing, of course, is the thyroid and also iodine. And they are embracing this because this is giving them a true reading. And I'll tell you, Doc, that's becoming very, very popular. And one of the things I learned recently, I don't know if you've ever had this on air before, but one of the reasons people wonder why we're so deficient in iodine, and I learned that one of the reasons was the fact that about 35 years ago, 40 years ago, they always used to put iodine in our bread, and they started replacing it with bromine or bromide and took the iodine out, and that's a major cause of the iodine deficiency that we have been seeing over the last, couple of decades. And it takes a little time, but, it compounds, and everybody's been eating these commercial breads with bromide or bromine in them, which is a toxic metal, and that in and of itself, I mean, your body has a receptor sites for bromine or bromide.
Yeah, so it hooks onto the iodine receptor site and occupies it, so now, it competes.
Yep.
Well, Oligoscanning, I believe, has shown itself to really deserve merit. I've contacted you because we need, and we will, ladies and gentlemen, be bringing Oligoscanning to the office. A couple of real great practitioners already in the area seem to offer it. I can do nothing but support the fact that they do possess the device. I think it's just a must. I know I asked you way back when, and I'm going to ask you today too, because when we first presented Oligoscanning, or you first presented it to me, the first generation was with the metals, and here we are. It's 2 years later, and we're still talking about the great way that Oligoscanning, well, you call it Oligoscanning. Maybe it's tomato. I don't know. But I asked you, what was the next generation holding in store for Oligoscanning? Because spectrography it's limitless, literally. And you told me that you're going to be able to do the next generation, the blood testing, real time. How well is that particular aspiration coming along, Joe? Is that a possibility in the very near future?
It's a possibility. They're finding it's a little more difficult than we originally perceived, because you would still have to take a drop of blood from the patient, and it would require an additional device to read that blood. So it's still in the works, but it hasn't been perfected yet. What I can tell you is that the oxidative stress portion of the device has changed. It used to just show a ratio of oxidative stress. It now shows damage and protection levels of oxidative stress. So it will show you a percentage of damage in the tissue. And again, when we talk about people, when you talk about lifestyle with them, when you're discussing with the patient, whether there's been an injury, whether there's been a surgery, whether there's a physical issue going on, you can tell when there's going to be damage. But the key is this, Doc. A lot of people, especially athletes, might test high on the damage portion because they're constantly breaking down tissue to build muscle. But as long as the other side of the coin shows a high, healthy antioxidant range, then their body is handling it. It's when you see a low range or a high range on damage and a low range on antioxidant protection that you have another issue. So that's one of the improvements that's been made. And I think the very next thing that comes out, though, because we've had so much success with heavy metals, is going to be environmental
toxins. Environmental toxins.
Yes. Yes.
All right, good. Okay, wonderful. Well, Joe, I really want to thank you for coming aboard today. I know that this was you just got back from one conference, and my goodness, got off the airplane, and I got a hold of you, and you were nice enough to, because I needed to have this as a timely discussion. We're doing so much with heavy metals now. Of course, you and I are arranging to see one another. Oligoscanning folks will be in my office. You can count on that. And, of course, we'll bring Joe back, and then we'll talk more about this, too. But I wanted to thank you for allowing us to start our day with this information. I know you got to get going on appointed rounds wherever they may be. Joe, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Doc.
All right, I'll be talking to you soon, big guy. All right, there you have it. Joe Messino, most knowledgeable guy I've ever come across when it comes to these alternative things. First presented Oligoscanning here. Oligoscan, however you want to say it. Oligoscanning about 2 years ago. It has had a healthy past and a much more healthy future, and certainly going to be used in the office as just a common way to detect heavy metal toxicity. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we can open it up to you. Anything on your mind is okay with me. We're going to talk about heavy metals. I want to be talking about our up-and-coming month of cataract involvement. Real pleased to be able to present to you a pretty good effort on making certain I can help you answer the question, do you have to, can you avoid that cataract surgery? More on that when we return. Be right back in just a moment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Wednesday morning version of the show, and we have launched our cataract topic in all of its various ways to bring it to you. The first of which today on Oligoscanning was to talk about heavy metals and how to do it real time, and Oligoscanning appears to be just a fantastic way of doing it. And it'll be part of our cataract program, as you will see. We've opened it up to you now with the remaining 10, 12 minutes that we have. If you got a mind to weigh in on any of these issues, give us a call at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll listen for that knock on the door, and I will let you in the store. Come to think of it, I've heard a knock. Come on in the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
I had a question about the Oligoscan.
Okay.
Did he say it doesn't tell you like what you might need as far as like a vitamin or just a mineral?
Yeah, the actual analysis is for the minerals, the healthy minerals, as well as the pathological metals. Now, there is a relationship between certain minerals and abundance of various vitamins. So to the extent that the correlation allows you to make guesses, it's not a finite objective finding, but it's a correlation that allows you to hook up certain things like selenium and thyroid hormone. Okay, for instance, there's a great relationship between selenium and thyroid hormone. So based on selenium, you can do that, and it will just turn out to be a assessment that is not founded in a objective sort of way, but an intuitive sort of way. Okay?
I've had it done before a couple years ago, and I was actually astounded that it didn't show that I was, heavy in any particular metal. I think maybe it was cadmium or something that was slightly elevated. I can't remember. It's been a couple years, but it is interesting how you just put your hand in this little thing and it reads it. However, I have another question. I know that some of these nutritional companies like Nature's Sunshine has one called, I can't remember what theirs is called, but they have the same unit.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it'll tell you what, I guess it's specially programmed for their products. And it'll tell you and the practitioner what you're deficient in, and then I guess it gives the practitioner some leeway because sometimes their indications or their intuition might not pick up what the machine does, but it goes on the frequency or whatever. But it's more geared to what the company programs the unit to pick up. In other words, all their products.
Mm-hmm.
So does doTERRA, split off from Young Living. They have the same unit, and it's programmed for all of their doTERRA oils.
Oh, is that a spectrophotometry? Is that
yeah?
It really is, huh?
The exact unit. I've had it done. By both companies. The Compass is Nature's Sunshine. I don't know what the one is called, but it's the same thing. You put your hand in the cradle, and it picks up whatever it's programmed.
Now, we sort of have a cradle device that we use even here in the office when it comes to Young Living products, okay?
Oh, they use one too, okay.
Oh, yeah. And so, but the word cradle this is not spectrophotometry. This is electrodermal readings, okay? So don't want to get confused. I'm not aware of spectrophotometry, which is highly specific, okay? Mm-hmm. And it only detects an actual substance, or it doesn't detect an actual substance based on this refraction of light component. So
okay.
I think
then the Oligoscan is more deeper.
It is absolutely finite. It is 100% accurate. Where I think the dermal scanning, putting your hand in a cradle, and I know that that's a term used by our clinicians that work them here, is only able to give you, I guess how they put it is clues as to what you might need. When you come up with a spectrophotometry reading, it's no clue. You take it to the bank. It is actually 100% accurate. And so the fact that they use the word cradle might be confusing. I don't believe that
And the actual unit looks the same, too.
Yeah, I know they look pretty similar.
Exact same.
Yeah, looks pretty similar. Okay, thank you very much. There you go. Yeah, I think spectrophotometry-wise, that's highly specific, and I only know the one company. If I'm wrong, well, we'll find out. But the cradle issue is electrodermal, at least. And Zyto, by the way, is the name of one of the common companies used for that electrodermal screening. Hey, we got another knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
I didn't catch at the beginning of the show with Joe what you were saying. On Monday, when you do the pre-lecture Monday night,
Yes.
Will you be doing a demo of both the Beamer and the Oligoscan?
Well, I might very well have the Beamer. It's supposed to be arriving any day, and if I have it, I'll absolutely show it off and let you drive it around my waiting room, okay? That's funny, driving it around. You know the thing with the Beamer. Anyway, but the Oligoscan, Joe is scheduled to meet with me next week. I don't think I'll have the device on site on Monday evening, but I should have the Beamer on site, and I'll be happy to reveal it, okay?
Okay. Would it be possible to get from Joe when you do see him, like a typical copy of a readout, just so we could see?
You know what? In fact, I've seen him on the website. I can ask Joe to email me one so that you can see what the report looks like. It looks very similar. You probably are familiar with the doctor's data report where we have sent in doing a provocation test and they have heavy metal readouts. Anyway, I've looked at these scans done by the Oligoscan. Same thing. Looks the same thing, same colors, same everything. And so I'm very comfortable with the presentation because I've been seeing it for so many years that to see it done spectrophotometry-wise is just very appealing because it's immediate. But the results, the way you look at it as a patient and I can look at it as a clinician, it is in keeping with the way we've always looked at it. Very comfortable.
One last question. Do you have the information on how long an average patient might have to be on the, minerals to adjust the heavy metals, for instance?
Well, we're going to have Ed on our show. I'm talking about Ed Kane. And Ed Kane was the guy who devised this approach by using the minerals to replace the good minerals that you need, but in so doing, to bump off the heavy metals that you are toxic from. And he described his own case. Took him 2 years to do it, okay? But he did it. Now, let's fast forward to my experience in using pretty harsh chelating substances, and it's not in the realm of unthinkable for it to take 1.5 to 2 years to rid somebody of the body using the pharmaceuticals. So it's not that, my God, does it take you 2 years? Hey, that can easily take that long even when you are using chelating agents. And I've been dumbfounded when we've been stymied and had to take 2 years to do it. But our objective is to go until the urine runs clear and no more toxic metal is found. And there have been cases that have taken at least 2 years. So it's in keeping with that.
And this is also exciting, not just the Oligoscan, the measurement, but the minerals to clear it, because then you have really a highly accurate system of testing and then retesting.
Oh, yeah, it's like a double whammy. You can do it electronically and you can do it by taste. We're just going to have so much fun with this. And fun is one thing, but to have medical accuracy is my objective. And I think I've been convinced by all that I'm learning that these steps that we're taking are the correct steps to do the job that we have in mind. We got to fix these cataracts, and I've added about 7 or 8 different modalities that we'll use in the 4 days to do it, and I think we're going to do it.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Yes, very good. Yeah, the idea is that with cataracts being so common, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, over the age of 65 alone, they say half of the people out there have cataracts. Usually detected when you visit your eye doctor, and that's why we're going to have Dr. Lisa Bowen here to talk about, from her perspective as an optometrist, how she comes across these casually and then how she follows them. And we'd love to have her eyes on your eyes on day 1 and then back again on your eyes on day 4 to get a professional opinion on how well this has worked. You need to be able to answer the question, can I avoid cataract surgery? And once again, that word cataract surgery is misnamed, is inaccurate, because when a doctor says, oh, I see here you have a cataract, you may have to have a surgery to remove it. Somehow, the real type of surgery isn't really being conveyed to you, because you can't remove a cataract. You have to remove the lens, the naturally given, God-given lens where the cataract is growing. You can't separate the cataract out from that lens. And so the natural lens will be removed. Admittedly, one, it's very cloudy and can't have light pass through it. And a brand new synthetic lens, plastic, will be put in its place. I think it's plastic or something like that. It's possible to have vision remarkably restored very quickly. However, there are 2 categories of people we just got to talk about. Number 1, there are 10% of the people who have that surgery. I've met them. I've talked to them. What they tell me is worst decision they ever made in their life. That's 10% now. But to them, their vision has never been the same. They wish they'd never would have heard of, cataract surgery, in quotation marks. The other group of people are those who actually have a successful surgery, and they think they're doing great, and they are. However, the new research indicates something they never were really counting on, and what that is that the new statistics show that within 2 years of a successful lens replacement, the patients will develop 70% of the time macular degeneration in the affected eye. Reason is UV light is not filtered. It's getting full force to the back of the retina, and it damages the retina. And for a brief description, we'll just let it go at that. We thank Bill for his rendition of Chopsticks in the background. Look forward to seeing you on Friday. We'll open up again then for more discussion. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.